Welcome back to Nighttime, the show where the only thing funnier than our bits is UCF football. Alongside Patrick Previty, I'm Matthew Bracker, and crazy week of college football, huh, Pat?
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened. I got my game of the week pick wrong this time, so chicken time, it's on its way.
Chicken time is on its way. But there are a lot of huge games, a lot of huge upsets. Miami fell from the good graces of the football gods. A Georgia police officer clocked an Ole Miss fan, and Deion Sanders is doing his best LeVar Ball impression. But we got to get into this UCF game first. The Knights traveled to Tempe to take on Arizona State in a pivotal conference matchup. And UCF is going to start here on the first drive of the game, led by Deleon for the second straight week. RJ Harvey touchdown, putting the Knights up 7-0 early, but that wouldn't last long. Patrick, why am I showing you a punt?
Why?
Because it gets blocked. Recovered by Montana Warren. He's going to return it 46 yards for a score. Freak play on special teams, and I don't think that will be the only one on the day. Wink, wink, wink. UCF with the ball again. Deleon with a pass to Kobe Hudson, and what a catch. Kobe's been huge this year, and the chunk play will set up a UCF field goal. It's 10-3. Knights with the ball again. Jakari Brown keeps it on the read option and stretches out here for a touchdown. Knights are looking pretty good, but a lot can happen in a minute.
So far, so good. 17-7 now, right?
Sam Levitt, though, he's going to roll out of the pocket here, and he will find Shimon Medier for a touchdown. And number 9 on UCF, what are you doing? UCF is going to field the kick, but watch this. It goes through the hands of Christian Peterson, and it's still in the end zone. He never leaves the end zone, but I think he thinks he has to return it, and he is going to get stopped at the 1-yard line. Disaster for UCF. So, you know, they're going to, I guess, lead a drive under a minute to go. Deleon, he's going to face pressure and throw it. Intercepted in return. Come on, man. What are you doing?
My guess is they just didn't feel comfortable running. But it is first down on that.
It's just ridiculous. Anyways, RJ Harvey, though, he carries this team on his glorious back. He's going to run him over for another touchdown, 24-21. But Arizona State on the comeback. Levitt tosses a 50-50 ball to Jordan Tyson, and he comes down with it. Touchdown, Sun Devils. Knights will get the ball again, specifically RJ Harvey will get the ball again, and he's going to run right past them, and a little spin move here for style points. His third touchdown on the day, another amazing showing for him. But now late in the fourth, Sam Levitt leading a drive. He's going to find Jordan Tyson again for another touchdown, and that would be the final score. UCF couldn't recover from that one, and Arizona State takes it 35-31. The Knights are one game away from kissing a bowl game goodbye.
Deleon kind of came back down to earth a little bit in this game, and now UCF will need to beat West Virginia and Utah to make a bowl. Now we welcome in Nick Cohen, main host of Bets, to join us on the program. You actually went to the game at Arizona State. What was the atmosphere like?
It was pretty fun, I'm not going to lie. Okay, a lot of the things that they did during commercials was very fun, and also that stadium is built into a mountain, so it was quite a hike to get to our seats. But I think it paid off because the sunsets there were beautiful, and Arizona State has a lot of fans. Granted, it was a night game, but I think that stadium was more filled than any of our UCF games this season. But it was a great atmosphere, up and down roller coaster of emotions for me. Of
course, and you know, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
But now, you know, talking about UCF, who is most to blame for UCF giving away this game to Arizona State?
Yeah, definitely our pass defense. We made sophomore Jordan Tyson look like Jalen Waddle out there, going for 7 catches, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. As you mentioned, he was just a beast, and that's been a problem for us. Jack Beck from TCU had 9 receptions, 200 yards, and a touchdown. Will Shepard and Travis Hunter for Colorado went off. Chimere DK from Florida also went off, and then Jalen Noel went for 153 receiving yards as a member of Iowa State. You know, against Arizona for our space game, we contained Tetroa McMillan pretty well, considering what he can do, but because of that, we allowed Chris Hunter to put up over 100 yards as well, and now Jordan Tyson. So that pass defense and our senior starting corners, Mac McWilliams and Brendan Adams, they just have to step up.
So there's a lot of glaring weaknesses on this team. What do you think is the most important thing the team must address in the bye week?
Yeah, so obviously our pass defense, but also the offensive play calling. Now, it's a step up from what Gus had been doing, but it certainly wasn't perfect. The offense is still easy to catch on for defenses, and, you know, if we're calling more inside zones for the millionth time on third and mid to long plays, you know, if we're going to keep that up, can we at least practice that so we can convert?
Yeah, for sure. It's been looking pretty rough out there. But, you know, We're going to move on to West Virginia. What do you think are the keys to the game? How are we going to pull off a win here?
We definitely have to try and contain Garrett Green, West Virginia's quarterback. We're not very good at defending dual threat quarterbacks, and while Green is certainly having a down year from last season with more interceptions, less rushing yards, he is still a dual threat. He had 772 rushing yards last year at quarterback and 13 touchdowns. But this year, he's at 471 and another 3 touchdowns. So just, again, dual threat quarterback, we're not good at defending them. That's going to be the key if we can contain him even a little bit.
So will UCF be able to win out and make a bowl game? I know you've just laid out what they need to do against West Virginia, but will they be able to kind of win that game, beat Utah, and actually make it to a bowl game this year?
To be honest, I don't know, and I don't think so. I mean, it's definitely possible. We're 4-6. We would have to win our final 2 games to even be 500. And then just to be 500, you're taking a chance. That's a big risk. Some of our early losses that we shouldn't have dropped, they're really going to come back and bite us in the butt. West Virginia is a top 6 Big 12 team, and we're a bottom 6 Big 12 team this season. I think we could win, but it'll be very tough. And then, yeah, I do think we'll beat Utah to finish the season 5-7, but 5-7 is not what UCF fans were expecting and certainly would be disappointing.
Not at all. But, you know, I feel like we talk about this every week, but like you said, you don't think UCF will make a bowl game. What is the status of Gus Malzahn if UCF doesn't make a bowl game? What do you think?
Shockingly, I wouldn't be too scared if I were Gus. You know, he's on contract for another 3 seasons through 2027. He's also best buds with athletics director Terry Mahajer. So, you know, the truth is, while he's been pretty disappointing and these losing streaks in back-to-back seasons is awful, we do have some impressive wins. And it's still our 2nd season in the Big 12, which is a big jump from the American. And that just shows how much praise these coaches at BYU especially, and then even Cincinnati and Houston deserve. I don't think Gus gets fired unless Terry gets fired, and a new AD just bites the salary bullet and can find an even better coach than Gus somehow, and that's a stretch. So Gus should be comfortable.
You know, it's kind of amazing the situation that UCF is in right now, considering that everybody's talking about Coach Gus getting fired, except he's got so much left on his contract.
Yeah, so the buyout would be way too much. I think we were talking a couple weeks ago. It's like $13 million or something.
It's making a lot of money.
I think if we miss a bowl game, I have continuously said that he was gonna get fired, but we'll just have to wait and see. And maybe UCF makes a bowl game at 5-7. But
it is possible.
Coming up, we're going to talk about college football and college basketball from this past week. That'll be after this.
On Saturday, the Knights paintball team took on various schools from across the country, taking home the 2024 College X-Ball World Cup Championship. The team played 4 preliminary matches before heading into the finals early Sunday morning. What made the finals so special was that the Knights got the chance to play on the pro field, where it was streamed live. To take home the victory, the Knights took down teams like the University of North Texas and the University of Maryland before facing off in the finals against one of their biggest rivals and defending champions, the Embry-Riddle Eagles. The win against the rivals meant a lot to team captain Sean Wynn, as well as the rest of the team.
Oh, it means everything. We're really looking to get a field on campus and host the Nationals event. It does mean a lot. I'm sure it means a lot to a lot of these guys because a lot of these guys are brand new. So this is their first experience of taking any sort of podium or anything. So it's a really, really big deal for us.
The World Cup tournament consisted of teams from all age groups competing in their own categories. The grounds featured vendors, food trucks, and over 6 different fields for play. The UCF paintball team is looking to spread more awareness about their sport, expand, and find their home here on campus. I highly recommend going out and supporting them at one of their tournaments. As for now, they have their sights set on the national title in the spring. Back to you guys.
Thank you for sticking with us. Great work from Kathleen. Now, looking back on college football this past week, the Miami Hurricanes would have loved to win handily, without stress. But Georgia Tech had different plans, and with 2 QBs, they set out to complete the upset that nobody has been able to complete this year. Yellow Jackets up early to start, but this is familiar territory for Miami.
Wow.
They get this score right here, and they would, that was Cam Ward to Elijah Arroyo for 74 yards. Miami would tack on another field goal and go up 10-7 afterwards. Man, Miami was just absolutely escaping at every which way. But then it is Haynes King to Malik Rutherford. This would conclude a 17-play drive that lasted about 11 minutes.
Wow.
That's some Army-Navy type of football right there. It was 10 minutes and 45 seconds on that drive. Georgia Tech rotated QBs, King and Aaron Philo, all day long, and they were both cooking. First score of the half belongs to GT as Philo goes to Chase Lane. Georgia Tech up 11. In the fourth now, Haynes King back in to cap off the drive. Lead is back up to double digits. Miami gonna need some Cam Ward magic, and they got a little bit more left from him. It's Restrepo from 38 yards out. But that's all from them the rest of the day. Georgia Tech milked the clock at the very end of this game, and one last fumble from the Hurricanes ended hopes. Here's this first down as they bled the clock
Seals
even
it.
more. Time of possession was huge for Georgia Tech when they needed it in this game. Miami now goes down for the first time in 2024.
Insane. Insane. Georgia Tech, you know, I don't want to call them giant killers, but coming into the season, they played FSU, and, you know, none of us thought they would escape that. I didn't think they would, you know, escape from Miami. That's tough. You knew how high I was on Miami.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for it to happen,
Yeah.
but I was shocked that it happened to Georgia Tech. With the quarterback situation, I didn't think that they'd have enough offense to actually beat Miami, and it turns out Miami just didn't have enough offense.
That is true, but we're going to war. We're going to the Holy War. It's BYU at Utah. We are going to drop you into the top of the second here, and Brandon Rose, BYU up 3, will find his guy Brant Quaith for the first touchdown of the game. Utah up over BYU early in this one. Now, very next play, BYU will field this kick, and Keelan Marion, the wide receiver, he is going to part the Red Sea and break free. He will not be contained. Stiff arm, 30-20. 10, gone forever. Kick return touchdown for BYU, 96 yards, 10-7. BYU up in the Holy War. Now Utah with the ball. He is going to loft it and thread the needle through a sea of blue. Big play to Dorian Singer, 36 yards. It'll set up a goal line touchdown for Utah, and now they're in the red zone again. Rose is going to find his back, Micah Bernard, and he will stretch out for the score. Utah pulling away in the first half. But we are going to get to the second half now. Utah looking to close out the game, but Brandon Rose, he is going to let this ball fly, and he throws a pick. Not a red jersey in sight. Come on, man, what are you doing? Crew Wakely with the pick, and it'll give BYU the shot of energy they need. LJ Martin now on the handoff. He'll get it and go. Big pickup of 39 yards that'll get BYU a field goal. They finally bring him down there. Now, next time out, BYU, they're going to get it on the goal line and score. Jake Retzlaff jumps over the pile. He's got a nickname I cannot say on air, and BYU gets 6 points. Now, they will miss the 2-point conversion, so BYU ball with a minute left. Retzlaff looking to lead a drive. He slings it. Chase Roberts kickstarts the drive, 30-yard play. BYU looking to get into range, so they will give it to Hinkley Ropati. He'll get it and more, and oh my goodness. How is he not dead? It hurts watching that. Whatever, they're going to get into range. And why am I showing you a field goal, Pat?
Hopefully it's a make.
It is. It's good. BYU escapes Tempe 22-21. They weren't in Tempe.
No. It was the Holy War.
It was the Holy War. They escaped the Holy Land 22-21.
On a separate note, that was probably the greatest jersey matchup I think we've seen all year.
Beautiful. It was beautiful. But what a game. I mean,
yeah.
You know, it was looking scary for undefeated BYU for a minute there.
I think BYU is on Miami watch right now.
You think they're next undefeated to go?
Yeah, they're getting that treatment right now. I think I could see
Not
them
Indiana.
go down. Indiana could be on that way too, but they got Ohio State, so it's a little different. You know, that's an actual great team. But college football delivering as always, and there's nothing I am more sure of than that. Let's take a look at how Week 11 also treated us. The rest of the way, we begin with a rivalry restored by conference realignment. It's Oklahoma on the road against Missouri, and it's Jackson Arnold catching this reverse pass for the touchdown. We're tied with 3 to go. 1 minute later, disaster strikes. The scoop and score for Oklahoma puts them up a touchdown. But the fat lady hasn't grabbed the mic just yet. Theo Weiss Jr. gets his feet in, just barely. Oklahoma is not going to be playing for overtime after this touchdown. They're going to go right back down the field until, oh no, disaster! Missouri, they got a revenge scoop and score. They are now the rightful owners of the Peace Pipe. If Oklahoma's athletic, yeah, it's the trophy that they win. Yeah, they don't have it. They don't know where it is right now. Oklahoma's athletic department say they cannot find the trophy.
They do.
Yeah, but it's rightfully Missouri's now. Next up, Jacksonville State against Louisiana Tech. Tyler Huff all the way down to Cam Vaughn. Matthew, did you see this? Through the power of Mother Mary.
Here he goes. Oh!
Defensive error on the replay here. The defense needs to have the deepest man. They did not do that. And they get an extra point here. And everything should be wraps, except he missed it.
Oh, my God.
We're going to overtime. Holy crap.
Come on,
Garrison
man.
Ripa. Got to be the sickest man in the world. J-State gets the ball first. They score first. La Tech does not score again. So he's got a very nice wave of relief over him. Gamecocks are now also going to go bowling. To the game of the week now. Alabama on the road against LSU. This thing wasn't close at all. Milroe with one of his 4 rushing touchdowns here. He'd end the day with 185 yards on the ground. Bama rolls 42-13. And don't look now. The Tide are on their way to the playoffs potentially.
I picked them to win this game, and you didn't.
We will get to that later. Georgia Ole Miss, Jackson Dart with a strike to Antoine Wells Jr. He holds on, and so do the Rebels. They win convincingly, 28-10. And now have an inside track to the playoffs. Kansas, Iowa State, Jalen Daniels to Quentin Skinner. Jayhawks go up 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. Wouldn't look back. Cyclones drop second straight. And the stock price is dropping rapidly. It's a fire sale for Iowa State right now. Yeah. Over to the ACC, Virginia, Pitt. Cavaliers would go 14-13 and win 24-19. Pitt's stock is also dropping quickly.
I remember when they were saying their quarterback was in Heisman conversation.
Oh, I must have forgot about
It was
that.
on our
Colorado,
nighttime
Texas Tech, Shadur Sanders to Travis Hunter, making waves in the Big 12 now. Buffs are second in the conference and control their own destiny the rest of the way. Yeah, who would have thought? From one Heisman candidate to another, it's Ashton Genty, putting the Nevada defender into the ground on the first of his 3 touchdowns. Boise State is on an 8-game heater right now since opening the season with a loss to Oregon.
Yeah. Hey, Genty is looking real good. I think now with a loss under Cam Ward's belt, it's not that unrealistic for Ashton Genty to win the Heisman. But you know, a lot of great plays, and we're going to get into some of them. The top 5 plays from this last weekend. We're going to start here at number 5. It is a tush push on 4th and inches from midfield, and he's gonna break away. Angry run. He is going to go and take it all the way for a touchdown.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Long Island gets the first and a little bit more than that. Clemson, Virginia Tech now. Ashton Hampton with the interception. Somebody check his gloves for Stickum. Like, actually, that looks like a video game
that was
glitch.
Insane.
I don't know how he hung on to that one.
Yeah, but at number 3, we are back to J-State LA Tech. True Edwards with an even better catch that we just saw. He takes it all the way to the house. He had 6 catches, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He is one of the best receivers in Conference USA, and he's going to take this one all the way.
Jacksonville State and La Tech gave us probably maybe like the 3 or 4 best moments or plays from the entire college football season in this one game. Yeah. Moving to second on our list, Dylan Gabriel sets the FBS record for passing touchdowns in a career with a pass to an offensive lineman. Then, on the ensuing play for 2 more points, just cause, it's a direct snap to the big man. The offensive line with 8 points on this possession. Oregon pouring it on.
When you're undefeated, you can do whatever you want, but to round out the list, it's going to be a punt, and this is not about the return. Check this out here. He's going to go.
He's going to go.
He's going to go. He's going to go. Oh, watch your head.
Straight CTE hit from the punter right there.
I mean, when do you see a punter put their body on the line to just lay out some justice? Mason Fletcher delivers the ball. Hey, we bring the ball.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
what we do. We bring.
Anyways, there are great moments and great plays from college football. Now let's pivot to UCF basketball. Since last week, the Knights have played Purdue, Fort Wayne, and FAU. Now, starting with the Purdue-Fort Wayne game, it was a close one through the entire matchup.
Yeah.
But, you know, UCF, in classic UCF fashion, was able to pull away. They were down 5 in the second quarter. And it's Darius Johnson again. He pulled through in the very first game, and he's going to do it once more. Purdue-Fort Wayne still kind of hanging around, though, with about 10 minutes left in the second quarter.
Sink that one for 3.
They're going to go up by 3 there. They're up by 1 now and continuing to put a little bit more on that lead.
Not looking good.
But this is where I would say the turning point was for UCF. With about 6 minutes to go in the game, they were able to get their offense going and their defense clamped up, and they were able to pull away.
And that's something I noticed with Darius Johnson a lot from last year. You know, he drives into the paint, but he still finds an eye for his open targets. But we're going to get into this FAU one, corner 3 here for UCF, and they're looking pretty good at the end of the first half. They are up big against the Owls.
Yeah, UCF was shooting extremely well in this game, and that's why you see that big jump in the second half.
Yeah, they're closing the lead in a little bit, but UCF is still, I think they're still looking good at this point. Up by 3. Darius Johnson, like I said,
get big, son.
He finds a way in the paint, and you really wouldn't expect it from a player, of his size. I did say last year he's a little bit on the smaller side, but he can get it done for sure. Just like the rest of the guards in the Big 12. I think he could be one of the best guards in the Big 12, and he is 6 points away from 1,000 points on his career at UCF. I mean, he has just been a key player, and he's needed to step up with the injury to Sellers. Mikey Williams is still injured, so we need playmakers on the team. Darius Johnson can be one. Also, Jaden Ivy Curry. Ivy Curry is a monster. He's a spark plug from UTSA last season, and he has been just doing the same thing this year. I think we have a really good roster on our hands this year.
Yeah, I do too. UCF basketball is playing really well, and they might even be undefeated before they get into conference
We're
play.
a basketball school.
Yeah, they're playing really, really well. Now, there's a lot of games in college basketball, just like college football, so we're going to take a look at the rest of them. Plenty of close games over the last week. Here are the last-second buckets you probably missed. Grand Canyon, Western Kentucky. Rayshawn Harrison with the game winner, but before we get to that, we have to look at the and one that tied it up before that. Now, the actual game-winning bucket here. Colin Moore scored 23 points as well, so shout out to him.
Speaking of basketball schools, Grand Canyon University, they are a basketball school. They always find a way, I feel like, in March Madness. But moving on here, you got Northern.
You got Princeton
Northeastern, and he's going to hit the game winner. And Dalen Davis in this game, 25 points. Pretty solid outing for him, huh, Pat?
Yeah, he played well in this game. And, of course, nobody really watched it in the middle of the week. Belmont Lipscomb, and you got this 3, the miss, and the foul here off the rebound. So he got the and one. He's got one really clutch free throw to hit. Now,
he's going to do it.
Of course he does it. Isaiah Walker makes the free throw. Just barely rolls around the rim a little bit, and he was able to get it to fall. Next, Liberty, crazy. Seattle University.
Yeah, Caden Metheny is going to lead his team with 15 points, and he's just going to get the 3 here, and that's pretty much it.
Also, Fordham Seton Hall, you probably did see this one throughout the week. This is on FS2 College Hoops. Fordham upsets Seton Hall. Kind of a crazy scene right over there.
Yeah, they are fired up.
Definitely looks really good. Now, a lot of stuff happened in college basketball. A lot of stuff happened in college football. Let's take a look at next week and what is going on. It is the game of the week, Tennessee and Georgia.
Right. Yeah.
And last week I got the game wrong, so I have to wear the chicken hat.
Yeah, you do.
To make this pick.
There you go. Yeah. You want to start, Mr. Chicken?
Yeah, I'm going to start. Okay. I'm going to go with Georgia this week to beat Tennessee. I think that they're going to bounce back after their loss against Ole Miss, and I don't really like to bet against Kirby Smart and those boys. It's been a tough year for Georgia, tougher than the previous years, but they're still a very good team.
I would normally agree. Georgia versus Tennessee, I could see how Kirby Smart would like to come back after a loss, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with Tennessee here, the upset. Listen, Carson Beck, he's not that guy. And I'm predicting a complete and utter meltdown again for Beck. I'm talking like 3 interceptions in the first half. I just feel it in my core. A lot of these picks, I just feel them in my heart. And I'm feeling a Tennessee win this week.
Wow.
I'm just feeling
Bold of you. Well, we'll definitely know now, after with the last show being next week, who's going to win and all of the Game of the Week picks. But that's all the time that we have for this segment. Coming up, we welcome in Edgar and Patrick to talk a little bit more about UCF soccer and college soccer as a whole. That is coming up after this.
It says in my notes you're an Oklahoma fan.
That is correct.
So, let me ask you, bud. Is Texas back?
All right, I put on a brave face a lot, but this year, I'm really scared that they are, man. Okay, they just beat Alabama. They're gonna be top 4 in the rankings. And last year, they beat us 48-0.
Yeah.
It was humiliating. We're the Oklahoma Sooners. We were the best ever. We were talk of the town. We had Baker, Kyler, and Jalen 3 years in a row. And now, are we good? I don't know. We haven't won a national title since 2000. We're number 18, I think, and nothing matters, dude.
Sometimes we build up these walls thinking they're impenetrable. But sometimes you have to knock these walls down to build up bigger and stronger ones. And you got to be tough through that. It's hard being an Oklahoma fan at this time, but grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the hill, buddy.
Is it? I cannot live through a Texas national championship. I can't. I'll never recover.
Do you want to talk about Lincoln Riley?
What'd you just say to me?
And welcome back to Nighttime. Now, on Monday, the UCF soccer team, which was underachieving all season, had a chance to make a run in the Sun Belt tournament, but they could not get their opening game against James Madison going. We have brought on Edgar Rodriguez and Patrick Deleon to talk a little bit about the state of UCF soccer following this loss. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you, Patrick?
Well, I think I'm happy to be here as well. It's always good to This is the first time I think I've been on Nighttime, so
Same
I'm
here.
excited.
Happy to have you guys. The Patrick thing is going to get a little confusing.
Yeah, I think I already just got a little confused, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
All right, but we'll get right into the UCF soccer team. What is your final grade for this season? We'll start with Patrick and then we'll go to Edgar.
I would honestly give them maybe a C- because you compare it to what they did last year, how they managed to reach the number one rank in the nation for the first time in, I believe, any athletic program for UCF.
Yeah.
And you look at how they're doing now, how they finished the season, it was just a total 180, and they severely underperformed, and they cannot live up to the expectations that they had from their first year in the Sun Belt Conference. Edgar?
Wow, yeah. I mean, you brought up pretty good points. I'll be a little nicer. I'll give them a C+, because we saw injuries to the main number 9, the main striker, Luca Dorado. That hurt us. We saw injuries to Juanvi in goal. Thankfully, Shane Wright, Patrick and I know him very well from Nona FC. He stepped up. He did well. But yeah, I think those injuries did not help at all. Obviously, they never do. But I think the main takeaway was that away form. I mean, you cannot go 0-4 for most of the season away from home and just get your last away win away at Coastal Carolina. That is not going to get you anywhere. And we saw that pan out. First round loss against James Madison. It was hosted at Marshall Stadium. But again, away form, right? Could not get the job done. But yeah, I'll go C+.
Okay, I think those are some pretty solid grades. Also, congrats with the Nona show. It's looking really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out.
Yeah, but yeah, not sponsored, but hey, we could be. Anyway, why do you think was UCF unable to match their success from last season to this season?
I think it comes down to just like what Edgar said, the injuries that the team has suffered all year long, just the different kinds of lineups that Coach Calabrese had to mess around with, the away form, a big part of it. They've just been awful on the road, and you saw they had to go away. They played James Madison away, and look at how it panned out, just exactly like Edgar said. 1-4 in the regular season, waiting until the last game of the regular season at Coastal Carolina to win. That's just not good enough. That's not going to cut it. So it's just super disappointing as a whole, because you also look at Luca Dorado, who was the team's leading goal scorer, only with 6 goals. Everybody else only had 3 or 2.
And he was out for like 3-4 weeks.
Exactly. He only played 10 games during the season, and he was missing about a third of it for the most part. It's just not good enough. The creativity in the offense isn't there. It's not so much on the defense. It's more on the offensive output that's kind of non-existent.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, Luka was the shining light of this team. Even if he was out for a few games, he reached 43 goals. He's only the 5th player in program history to break the 40-goal mark. He did so scoring a hat trick at home on senior night against South Carolina. That was an incredible celebration. And I think when you look at the highlight of the season, it's probably senior night. That was incredible. Anderson Rosa as well, our captain, getting on the score sheet. And Patrick and I were talking about this off air. I mean, those two, keep an eye out. They might be on MLS rosters next season. We saw Luka, was it Anderson?
Rosa,
Anderson got drafted by the Rapids last year. He decided to take a 5th year here at UCF. Get a little more experience under his belt. I think that is going to serve them beautifully heading into 2025. So keep an eye out for those two.
So looking ahead to next season, obviously you hinted at it a little bit. Where does UCF soccer go from here? What needs to change?
I think this comes down to a lot of the senior players or the more seasoned players are either heading into their senior year or they're already done. This was their last year. Luca Dorado being a good example, Anderson Rosa being a good example. All of these guys that this team heavily relies on and is built around, they're going to be gone. So you got to look at the younger guys like Drew Hansen, Joey Mueller. They had pretty good seasons. They're still relatively young and they can still have more time with this team. But this is a project that has to be built over years. That's just like in any sport. It takes time to develop a team and build it and make it a winning caliber team. But you're missing such crucial pieces in the lineup. It's almost hard to figure out who's going to step up and take that role. I'm not feeling confident that they can really replicate another great and wonderful season and make a deep run when it comes to the postseason.
You mentioned Drew and Joey. How about Carlos Rojas? We saw him just a little bit this season. His highlight was against USC Irvine in the first space game. He got 2 goals. I was a little disappointed we didn't see more of him. He's an imposing striker. And when you talk about replacing someone like Luca Dorado, I think he is key for the next few years for UCF men's. Just to briefly talk on the women's team, of course, they failed to make the Big 12 tournament. Again, a young team, 2nd year in the Big 12. They still have to adjust. But don't forget, they did have that ranked win at home against Georgia. That was their highlight of the season for sure, like Patrick and I were talking about. And they also, they have this, I feel like you can call it growing pains, right?
They're facing similar situations. You had Chloe Netzel bagging 11 goals in 14 games. Nobody else on the team passed 3 goals. She's also she wasn't getting the creative output that she needed from the rest of the team. And she's a senior. I don't expect her to see her again for UCF. And it's a shame because she's a really talented player. She could easily, in my opinion, probably play in the NWSL.
100%.
And to still put up double-digit numbers in a pretty subpar, mediocre season, it's good for her.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, future is bright for UCF soccer. I do believe that. But looking at the Sun Belt Conference as a whole, who do you guys think is the best team in there right now?
So we're at the final stage. West Virginia against Marshall. I think you could have probably called this at the start of the season, Patrick. I mean, the top 2 teams in the Sun Belt, and not just the Sun Belt, nationally. We always see these teams reach, the later stages of the NCAA tournament. Marshall are going for a repeat. Patrick, who do you see winning that? I probably lean towards Marshall. West Virginia are a great team, though.
I think in college soccer as a whole, Sun Belt, it's always the premier conference that you see with all the teams in it. Marshall, for me, they're going to do the repeat. I'd probably bet my money on them because they just have such a great program and the support too. The people they show out, it looks like such a fun atmosphere to play in their home games. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them beat West Virginia, maybe by a close margin of 1-0, 2-1.
It'll be a close.
But I think Marshall has that secured for sure.
Now, moving to college soccer as a whole, who are the teams that you guys like?
Ohio State is doing really good. As of right now, they're ranked #1 in the country. Marshall, again, West Virginia, again, some of the ranked teams in the country as well. I mean, there's just so many good programs. It's kind of hard to pinpoint who exactly would I consider the best in, or who I really like, because it's just the momentum from all these teams shifts around so much. I'm not too sure, but for me, I'm gonna probably stick with Marshall. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look out for them for sure. West Virginia, like we said, Ohio State are currently ranked #1, and then you have teams like Duke, San Diego have been incredible this year. So you have these programs that you usually see reach the later stages. But yeah, let's stick to our guns. Let's stick to the Sun Belt Conference. Let's say Marshall.
I like Marshall too. I like Marshall too. But that is all the time that we have for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking some college soccer.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure.
Yep, it was a lot of fun.
Time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah, but thank you for everyone from the studio, for all of our guests today, for the chicken hat. Alongside Patrick Previty, I'm Matthew Bracker. Tune in next week for our nighttime season finale and a very, very special goodbye. But thank you guys for joining in, and see you guys next time.